Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Danny Oliver, and I work at Arm. I've been a MoPro for 7 years and a Movember ambassador for a couple of them. And I have the pleasure to have JC with me here today. JC, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm very excited to have you here. First time we meet, and I'm passionate about Movember and all you guys do for men's health. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. If that's okay with you, I would like to ask you a few questions so our company and our colleagues could learn more about Movember and what they can do to support you.
Absolutely.
Could you tell us how Movember started in 2003 and why it's still relevant today?
Way back to 2003. Four mates, there's four of us, and it's about an idea to how do we give back and how do we start to lean into men's health and the impact on men's health. 30 guys in a pub is how it started. There's all good ideas start in Australia, and we were looking around, and a lot of our mates were doing really good stuff in environmental impact stuff. We're looking at a really good mate who was a board member for a very long time. His mum was doing really good stuff in breast cancer, and just leaning into those sorts of things. And when you looked around, there was children's hospitals, there was women's hospitals, but there was really nothing for men. And what is men's health even look like? And had we even thought about it or talked about it? And we kind of, for me personally, it just wasn't on the radar or on the topic for anyone to talk about. So leaning into it, we thought, well, men like to have fun, and how can we have fun doing good? It's always been kind of our mantra and our asset of who we are, and just be ourselves. One of my favorite quotes in the world is "Be yourself because everyone is taken" by Oscar Wilde, and I really believe that. What can you do for the world, and how can you get to change the world? Because I think the power of one's amazing. To get to do that, so to do it with 30 guys at the start, incredible. And it spiraled out from there. And the idea was really simple. If we looked around the world at the time, our catalyst, and will always be, our iconic moustache. But at the time, it was to grow it on your upper lip. And 30 days, shave down. And mate, you've done it for many times as our ambassador. And you know how tough it is. You clean shave, you've got a bit of stubble growing. And 19 years in, and it doesn't get old. It's like it's a walking, talking billboard. You have to talk about it. You can't not talk about it. People ask you questions about it, and it kind of blew us away back in the day, because when I grew a moustache out for the first time with 30 guys, I was actually living in Queensland on the Gold Coast at the time,
Right.
and I was the only one who was there. So a lot of the boys were together in Melbourne, and to be isolated surfing, and I was in the yachting business at the time, so sailing and stuff. It was like people were like, what are you doing? And what does this look like? And that really entrenched in us that there was really good impact and change. People would stop you in the street. People would have this conversation with you. So for me, personally, I grew up in marketing and media, it was like, this is like just an amazing catalyst for change. And, one of our taglines has always been, change the face of men's health, change your face for the month and get it in. And we knew that 30 days as a campaign would literally, form a habit. And so we picked Movember, obviously, because it was easy to change the N to an M in Australia, and a Mo in Australia is moustache. So it kind of did really well. And then it just scaled. And, 19 years, 20 years later, we're looking at, the world's largest men's health movement. A couple of our projects, like our motorbike project, is in 171 countries. We're in 26 different languages. And most importantly, our incredible people like yourselves out there have raised over 1.2 billion for us. And then we've been able to put that into impact and change, and then what we can do with that impact and change. So yeah, it's changed a lot from 30 guys in a pub, I can assure you. But
I can imagine.
Is really crazy.
Absolutely. Well, and I can relate to what you said about how remarkable it is, that the power of the individual and how much each little effort can make a difference, and the visual impact of having something as iconic as the Mo to just raise the conversations and to basically have people talking about it. Of all the different things you've mentioned and all the long journey that you've had with Movember, what you are most proud about?
Me personally, I mean, there's a lot of things. Obviously, over 19 years and traveling around the world and building this out, I've had some incredible moments. And, from having one-on-one conversations with guys who were thinking about taking their own life, who didn't, and I'm still connected with them a lot. And that happened a lot while we're out and about. But for me, it's more actual global change and impact happens by starting conversation and having conversations, and men are really bad at having face-to-face conversations. Women are really good at it. I know I've been married for 21 years and I have 3 daughters and my mum lives with us, so I'm surrounded by women, so I know how well they have the conversations, and all the friends around me who do it. And men have this awkward, they like to get together. So Movember, for me, the proudest thing is, we go out into social settings where lots of men are, but we really encourage them to talk about the hard stuff when they're together. And it's that shoulder-to-shoulder conversation that they can have. So they're watching a sporting event, or they're out in a pub together, or, they're doing something they really love. It might be around cars or bikes or whatever it is. They're there together having a shoulder-to-shoulder. And I've seen so many people from, some mates of mine who are like A-list celebrities on the floor seats watching a Knicks game, going through the 3rd divorce, through drug addiction, going through that divorce moment. His mate just turns to him and says, look, we got you, we got this, just don't spiral again, and we're here for you. And then they started a barbecue once a month that I've been to a couple of times. And it's just guys hanging out, actually having that conversation. So, and then to see that spiral out globally, and literally globally into millions and millions of conversations across the planet into 26 different languages. For me, like when we were unpacking it, our men, I thought I might find, as you go through the world, we might find the magic answer to actually getting men to connect more through these languages and these spaces. And it's not. Men are, whether you like it or not, and I think it's kind of a good thing, but they're all kind of the same, no matter what culture, what race, where they're from, what language they speak. They kind of behave similarly, and what that is, which is good because you can know the barriers to break down. So for me, in a very long answer to get you there, sorry, mate, but it's around social connection and getting guys to get out and seeing that impact we have over that vast scale of men literally changing lives and talking to each other. And say, we've been out in the US, and I remember one of the most famous scientists in the world, who's CEO of PCF US and one of the biggest foundations on the planet when it comes to prostate cancer. And he said, just through the conversation you've had, just teaching people to get early detection, and this was in like 2013, his estimate was we'd saved over 2.5 million lives in America by just getting men to catch cancer early before it metastasizes and have treatment programs that would save their lives. So for me, the most proudest impact moment is to get men to have the conversation.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. A couple of things that resonate with me. The first one is what you say about the so-called toxic masculinity. I mean, we men are rubbish around going to the doctor, talking about it, and having that vulnerability that women are really in another league with that, right? And I have like you, I mean, I don't have a wife, but I have the pleasure of being surrounded and raised by very powerful women, and I'm inspired by them, and I hope that I am a little bit less toxic as a man as a result. The other one is, like you very well said, that this saves lives. And that's such an important message. And I really want to thank you on behalf of ARM and my family even for Movember. On that note, and talking about women, why do you think that the Most Sisters are such an important part of Movember? Because it's not just about men, right? I mean, we are all connected here. Could you let us know about why you think the Most Sisters are so important?
Yeah, and it's funny because I get asked this a lot. And if I've supported breast cancer and female charities and stuff a lot, and I've never been asked as a man why I'm supporting a female charity, but I always get asked because of Movember. Obviously, women can't grow moustaches, and we don't want them to. Well, there might be some out there, so I don't want to offend anyone. But yeah, it's not really a thing that everyone can do on a mass scale. But it's women for our campaign specifically can move now and host an event because we want it to be for everybody. You don't just have to grow. It's like clinic massage, but you can move and host an event for us. And we found that kind of leaned into those two things because of the women in our lives and around us, because they were doing these epic challenges. Like, I just met this amazing lady 2 weeks ago at one of the launches in London, and she climbed the largest mountain in the UK 100 times for us. And because she had, her dad, she'd lost, and then another girl who was like 19, just going into university during lockdown. Her dad, who was a doctor and a GP in the local village, had taken his own life. They didn't see it coming. They came home from a walk and they found their dad. And then she's just walked 600 miles, the entire length of a part of the UK on the coastline. To be honest, just women are an absolute catalyst for men to get stuff done in our lives. Our mums, who doesn't love their mum? Like, dads love their mums, and I've got 3 daughters, so I'm very privileged because daughters seem to like their dads. And it's just kind of that natural balance. And everyone's got to, if you've got brothers, your sister, if you've got a partner, or just who is absolutely special in your life. And if we can get men to be good humans, and teach them, how to be gentlemen and how to get detected early and how to stay around longer, because men live 6 years less than women on average. And that's not a scientific reason. That's because they don't look after their health. They don't get detected early. They wait till things are too late. They become very stoic. And if we can break down that stigma, and women are absolutely catalyst for that, then you get to have your guys around a bit longer. That extra 6 years, if we can change that gap, then I think that's magical. And that's, for your sons, your husbands, your brothers, your grandfathers, your dads, right?
Absolutely. And I think, again, that's so important to actually remove that idea that Movember is just for men. It's essentially for all the men in your lives. As a man, I want to say for my father, I have a great great uncle who suffered from prostate cancer, and because he was detected early, he could save his life. And without many other aspects like mental health or suicide prevention, right? We need to do so much, and no matter how much, we need to keep on talking about it. And there's always so much more to do.
Yeah, and look, we care obviously very much about the women around us and in our lives, and we want to be there with them and for them. As I said before, being married for 21 years and I've got 3 daughters, and my mum lives with me, and like, women are such an important part of all of our lives. And for me, it's like making sure they're okay. And when it comes to mental health and well-being, one man takes his life every minute of every day. And now with the new stats that have come out with the pandemic, it's 25% worse with anxiety and depression across the board, heavily weighted to women. Like, I think it's 52 million women extra and 24 million men. 1.6 billion kids in 90 countries across the world didn't get to go to school in 2020. And the anxiety and the mental health and the well-being of that is just prolific. So I think we need to come together, and, we need to do stuff with a male lens. We need to do stuff with a male lens on it, but the stuff we do, like Mo Conversations and, the family man, the dad's projects and stuff we launch is targeted for women as well as men to literally be balancing that out together. And, if I can tell you anything of, my wife makes me a better person every day. And the reason that is because we have this open conversation. We walk for 45 minutes a day together, and we have these conversations. So women play an incredible, epically good part in my life, and I think on Earth. So
absolutely,
it should be balanced. It's just we need to have a male lens, because men aren't doing as well as women on a lot of these topics. So we focus on that. But yeah, it's all inclusive for sure.
Absolutely. And in any case, it's basically acknowledging that objectively, as per the metrics, we men are the weakest link here, and we need the help of all the women around us, right?
Crazy,
we're gonna go exactly that. No, that's how it is, and we need women to make us better. That's probably something that the way I see it, but that's a very good insight.
I wish humans would wake up to that fact. with the way the world's balanced.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go quickly into the Q&A, but I have one last question before we run into the audience's questions. What do you think that it is about the Mo community that makes it so special?
I'm humbled every day by the community because they just band together and they really, you know, I could literally go to any 26 countries in the world right now and very privileged and just tell people I'm turning up and they'd put me up for a weekend for sure. And the community is like the Mo community is a family. We call them citizens of Movember because you do become a citizen of Movember because, you know, we want to teach you to be, you know, how can you be a good human? And I'm really passionate about, you know, I do a lot of stuff also in environmental impact and in human impact. And, you know, Movember's my baby that's 19 years old and it's a teenager and it's growing up and it's getting into the world. And did we make it, you know, did we make it good for that next bit? And we absolutely did. And what, for me, it's just making people, you know, just be good humans, right? Be good humans, do good. Yeah. And how can you be a good human and what you can do for people around you? And, you know, whether it's displaced humans around the world at the moment or whatever it is, that it all impacts in mental health, mental well-being. And, you know, if we can really, for me, Movember, the community, and I think stuff, you know, I always tell people, you know, we need to act global, but think local. And if we can act global and think local and think really community-wide, and then we can all come together, then I think we can have absolute impact and change.
Absolutely, a global approach. That's the way we should be doing things. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jesse. We have a few questions from our audience, and the most popular one is: if anyone at ARM is thinking of starting a campaign for a cause that they care about, what tips would you give them?
Well, exactly. I mean, the answer's in the question. What do you care about, and what are you most passionate about, and what do you think you can really lean into to help change? And then just do it. Like, there's so many good things at the moment, and we beta tested with Facebook on their stuff for good, and I work intrinsically with a lot of the tech platforms and Google and everyone to see how we can get stuff going. So there's so many really cool things. You could start at, you know, a Facebook fundraiser or whatever it is, or whatever platform you choose to do it on. It's the barrier to entry is super simple. Just go and do it, collect some friends with it, excuse me, and then do whatever you want. Like, what some people row the Atlantic. I'm not asking you to do that because I think that's crazy. It's very dangerous.
I like it though.
Some people walk a mountain up 100 times and just go and go and connect with the cause. So whatever the cause is and why you're connected to that cause, and then go and speak to the people in your area who are not for profit or that cause, and see what you can do for them. And just, you know, you can't. My wife very famously for me says, you can't eat an elephant all at once, one bite at a time. So go and find out what the cause is, go and connect with the right people and see if there's a community already in your area, and then start something. I'm always, with all my staff and all the people out there, we need to be having fun doing good. And, you know, if you can't have fun doing good, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for example, I like to just talk about Movember to my friends when I grow my Mo. I post things on social media, I create videos, I do lunch and learns. There are so many nice things that we can do as a group or just little competitions. But yeah, it's just, I like the idea of just doing whatever, as long as you keep doing that, right? The next question I have, and it's actually many people never know, is what do Movember do for the rest of the year round outside November?
We get to change the world. So every day we get to wake up, we get to change the world. And, you know, we have 1,200 programs live around the world right now for impact and change. And, you know, some of the stuff we do social innovation challenges. So we put grants out there for 2 to 3 million for people to come back in the community on how they can help change the community. And some of the ones that like are just emotional and dear to my heart are really cool stuff. Like, the highest population on the planet at the time was teenage kids taking their own life, Inuit Indians up in Canada. And I was like, well, how do we help this community and what can we do to change that? And we built a land-based project. And rather, you know, when we first started Movember, we just threw money over a fence and go, people will fix this. They're better than us. They know how to do it. And then we realized we have to build it with the people for the people, and they taught us that. It's like we can't just go and build a product and then give it to them. So we built this land-based product with them and taught the kids how to fish, how to hunt, how to get together again. And since we've launched that, there's been zero kids take their life. So we gave them a sense of purpose. And there was another one in Hawaii we did, which was called K-Vibe, and it was a whole bunch of BMX. It was a BMX club, and rather than going to steal bikes, you went and made bikes. And this was, I don't like to say the word refugee, displaced humans, because they are displaced humans. And the sort of, the most vulnerable displaced humans all went up into one of the worst low socioeconomic areas in Hawaii. And then we started this K-Vibe and we funded it. And they get to make BMX bikes together. It gives them purpose. They call them their land canoes to get out of all the unimaginable stuff we can't even imagine that happens in their life. And it gives them a safe place to go and hang out with and do that sort of thing too. Chicago, we had kids slinging drugs on the streets. How do we get them off? We built a basketball project with some famous basketballers. So we do lots of different stuff, from waves of wellness and surfing in Australia to a whole bunch of stuff to impacting cancer. We got to unlock the keys to testicular cancer and the last bit of why people weren't responding to it, to the prostate cancer stuff. We've hedged in, and we will literally get to, one of the ones we're working on for the first time ever, because when we started to raise money at Movember, we were raising it in the Foundation Australia, and I couldn't spend it on the smartest researchers in another country. And I'm like, why not? We're not allowed. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. So we should pull the best money together and get the smartest people in the room across the world to go and do it. So we got a project that was across 15 countries and 150 different researchers to find out the genome that would unlock prostate cancer. And we worked out through that process, ovarian, breast, 3 kids' cancer, so 7 different cancers. Like, we funded breast cancer at the moment for that one genome. So how you can collaborate together and really advance is where you're going to get absolute change. And we get to be a part of that. So lots of stuff. Sorry, I could go on all day, but
but you've answered the question. You basically dedicate your time and your resources in funding great projects, no matter how big or how they small. Basically, all of them, as long as you are doing good, right? So
and then we do fun stuff. So I just jumped out of a lunch with Formula One, and we've been working with them for a couple of years, and we do Formula One events. Pretty much we do pop-ups with them throughout the year. We do distinguished gentlemen's rides. So if you know motorbikes, we've got a project that happens in September, which is in 171 countries. It's the largest motorbike event in the world, and they all get to dress dapper and ride around the capital cities. And it makes us an amazing 8.6 million a year. But then that impact we put into social change around motorbikes and how we can do that too. I could name I could name so many different fun stuff throughout the year that we're doing, but nice. I know we don't have the time. So.
No. In fact, I was going to try to squeeze in 1 or 2 more questions. There is one that's a very interesting one that's related to what we said about going around the globe. With Movember growing, have you found that is there any place where Movember hasn't caught on? Have you experienced some form of cultural barrier?
Absolutely not. So, I was really worried that we would. And I thought, where is it going to be? And what is it going to look like? And are we going to get friction in the Nordics? Are we going to get friction in America? Are we going to get friction? You can never get friction in Canada. But are we going to get it in some other country? And, we had 2 guys last year ride motorbikes for us in Afghanistan. And that blew me away for Distinguished Gentlemen's Drive. It's like, I want to meet these guys and why they're doing stuff for us, and in dapper gear. And just to even think with all the shit, sorry, I probably should say it, but all the stuff that's going around the world and all the stuff that's going on there, they got dressed up in dapper gear and rode motorbikes. And I'm just like, that was just like, for me, so humbling that they could go and do that. But yeah, it's just men need help, and
all of them.
And all of us need social interaction. And what gives us the most longitudinal study that's ever been done, I think it was Harvard that did it. It was over 70 years with a whole bunch of cohorts of people. The road to happiness isn't wealth. It's not success. It's absolutely relationships. And your social connection and your relationships you have, you will live longer than anyone else out of all those other success metrics if you have deep-seated relationships, people you can check into and do it. So for anyone on this call and listening today, it's like, go and reconnect with somebody, go and just hang out with them, or just go and call that person. For whatever reason you're not calling, just call them and see if they're, just check in. And if you think someone's in a bad place, the best thing you could do is ask them that. And I was really fearful of that at the start until we'd done the studies. It's like, I thought some of my mates were on edge for suicide ideation. It's like, what do I do? It's like, you ask them straight away. And I did. And, you know, I've saved a lot of mates, and, you know, through that process of just being able to do it. So just have honest conversations and get out there and socially connect, really.
Exactly. And I have to say that thanks to the advice that you just gave, you just answered the next question, which is someone who's worried about a friend but not sure how to start a conversation with them, is to just simply check in, right? I was saved myself because of the advice that you just gave.
And and that's amazing, mate, and incredible. And, you know, there's going to be people on this call right now who aren't in a good way. I can guarantee you by the amount of people that are on this call, there's definitely going to be people in this ecosystem or no people in this ecosystem who aren't in a good place right now. And that's and what I can say to all of them right now listening, and to all of you, is it's okay not to be okay. And that's the biggest thing that's the biggest misconception in life. It's okay not to be okay. It is shit out there, and it'll come at you really hard. And if you can get your social scaffolding around you and your social network and your friends, that's going to change your life, and teaching them how to do moments. And I do this project at the moment with 12 to 14-year-olds called Ahead of the Game, and we do it across ice hockey in Canada, to rugby, to football and rugby league here. And it's teaching the kids at 12 to 14 what they need to get through life around social scaffolding that'll help their life journey.
Absolutely.
And we know if we can get them at that age, that will change their entire life plan of when the shit stuff happens. And then when it does, it's okay not to be okay, and go and have a chat and go and check in with people. So if anyone can take anything out of today, it's like, it's okay. And just go and check in with some mates and, you know, have that honest conversation.
Absolutely. We're out of time, but I would really like to thank you personally and on behalf of ARM for your time today. We are very inspired by you. I personally am. So thank you for your time. And I'm really looking forward to the campaign in ARM this year, where we are definitely going to match the donations that we make individually. And again, thank you so much for your time and the insights.
I would love to say a massive up to Danny, who's been supporting us for so long. And he has never done this before. And he was very nervous at the start. We were in the green room going, I have never hosted a panel before. And I think he did an incredible job, and he's incredibly passionate. So a massive thank you to you for doing such a great job, mate.
Means a lot to me. Thank you so much.